Hello, in this video I'm going to show you a game in my Albany, the old Tier 2 Griffith Cruiser. And the reason I'm showing you this game is that I thought I haven't shown you any cruiser gameplay for a while, but I thought that I'd forgotten about the Emden video from about 2 days ago. So I want to show you my best cruise game I've had since the most recent patch. And it was in Albany. And I'm sitting there going, I don't recall having any particularly good games in the Albany, I don't even remember playing it that much lately. So, get up the replay, and then when I see this matchmaking, I start to get a feeling of why this is good, why it's going to be a good game. As you see, the teams are 7-a-side, but the enemy team is almost entirely made up of the Hermelin, the Tier 1 German cruiser. And, well, the Hermelin, in my opinion, is the worst of the Tier 1 ships, and that's entirely because it has a massive citadel which is incredibly easy to penetrate with armor-piercing ammo from basically every Tier 1 and 2 cruiser. There's also a bit of a glitch in the replay here. Because I switched to armor-piercing before the game started, it actually shows me firing a high explosive this whole game, but in reality I'm actually firing armor-piercing from start to finish and I never change ammunition. It's just got the wrong ammunition selected down the bottom. So anyway, we are on big race, and I start pushing basically straight towards the enemy. I want to get there as quickly as I can to do as much damage as I can, because I know that I could just destroy Hermelins. The Albany is not a particularly good ship, but it's good enough to take out Hermelins, especially since I've got the Tier 4 Captain skill, which increases my range by 20%, which takes the Albany from having a very bad gun range to having an average gun range, and I believe it's actually pretty similar to that on the Hermelins, so adequate is the word for it. Anyway, I have been spotted. Don't know by what though. There it is, a ship in front of me, and it seems to be a Hermelin. So I fire off not quite a broadside, but 3 guns, and they miss. The Hermelin's moving a lot slower than I thought it would be, but my second broadside's on target. Kind of, 900, 700 damage. So alright, the Hermelin doesn't have a lot of hit points, so even though I'm not getting citadels, I'm still taking away more health than it can afford. And one other thing to mention is that because I was pushing kind of aggressively, basically I've formed a lemming train behind me, which I actually find happens quite a bit in this game. At all tiers I tend to play fairly aggressively, so I tend to get lemmings following me. Anyway, another ship sighted, and again it is a Hermelin, and there's a third ship sighted, another Hermelin. It pokes its nose around the corner and I can't quite hit the citadel, but I was hoping to hit a magazine underneath that turret there. Didn't quite happen, I got an over-penetrating shot, so I switched to the other Hermelin. And I can only fire 2 shots, but I managed to get 1 citadel hit, do just under 4,000 damage with 1 citadel and 1 regular penetration. But I have to swing my ship around, which means I'm only going to be able to fire 3 guns on the broadside. Doesn't matter, because I managed to get another citadel hit and sink that Hermelin. This one comes out in the open in front of me. It's actually managed to do a fair bit of damage to me, but it's broadside on, it's going slow, its engine's wrecked, it's not going to live very long. And there we go, 2 Hermelins dead. And I've taken 6,000 damage in return, but as you see behind me, my team's, well, one of them had taken some damage, but they're basically all at full health, so we're in a pretty good position at this point, and I decided to just push straight in towards this enemy ship, get my guns to bear at point blank range, and basically 1 broadside will just destroy this guy at this kind of range. There's very little chance of me actually missing the citadel. But, I don't get the opportunity. One of my allies behind me manages to hit its magazine and it explodes. And there's a Hermelin in its New Year's camouflage. Manages to dodge my shots. Well, my first broadside at least. And now I'm just chasing it and using my forward guns. Get 2 hits, do 2,000 damage. And for a poor Hermelin, that is pretty significant. And again, another 1,500. I mean, at this rate, it's lost half its health, another 2 broadsides and it's dead. Though I do manage to miss with that one, so I shouldn't be so bold in my statements. but it's clearly not going to last very long. I just can't quite get the targets. This Hermelin's actually manoeuvring pretty effectively. It's still taking a lot of damage because it's under fire from myself and all my allies. I actually bounced a shot there, which is unusual, but in the end it's not ever going to matter. Kill number 3. 3 Hermelins destroyed. And here comes a Chester, which is actually a better ship than mine. It's also a tier 2 cruiser, but it's got much better range, and it's faster. But none of that really matters if it's coming straight towards me. It really should be trying to use its range advantage to pummel me. And it's probably faster than all the ships on my team as well, so it could really just force us to chase it and keep pummeling us at long range to win. But instead it's closing the distance with us, and I'm still firing armor piercing at it, even though that's not particularly great for a Chester since it doesn't have much armor at all. And I'm basically just over penetrating with every shot here. But still every little bit counts. And my team, well, 1, 2, 3, 4 4 allied ships I believe are all firing on this one Chester. So it's not going to last very long, but you see there I also managed to get my high caliber medal. Which is basically just saying that I've done, what is it, I think 40% of the damage, or the potential damage to the enemy team. Which is actually pretty good when you consider that by the point I'd got it, we'd only sunk, well, about 65% of the enemy team's ships. So it's basically saying that up until that point of the game, I'd done well over half of the damage that my team had done. And we see a Dresden sitting in our cap circle. I originally turned to engage it, but I decided that was kind of foolish because the enemy cap circle was right beside me. It's going to take me a long time to get down to that Dresden. And capping is the safe victory, and I would really hate to get 3 kills in a high caliber medal and just have devastated the enemy team the way I have, and then lose because I was chasing after a Dresden. So instead I come into the enemy cap circle, and that all out in front of me is firing away at an AFK enemy cruiser. I can't actually see it yet because the acquisition range on the Albany is very poor, only slightly better than its extended gun range. And as you can see, it's a Hermelin has actually spotted me and I can't even see it yet. But soon I will, and pretty soon after I can see it, I'll be able to start hitting it. You see that Orlan's also been managing to do a fair bit of damage to it. I mean, it's broadside on, it's not manoeuvring, it's basically not going to be able to last that long. I'm actually aiming a bit poorly here. I'm aiming for the waterline, but at this range my shells are plunging, so I should really be aiming a little bit higher. But I still managed to get a few shots on target, do a little bit of damage, nothing significant. And I was actually I thought this was a bit of an odd game. Like, I've got my 45 shots on target, sunk 3 enemy ships, got the high caliber medal, but I actually only got 2 citadel penetrations, despite the fact that I was shooting at so many Hermelins. And when I think about it, it's a case of, like, Albany's guns, the armor penetration on it isn't fantastic, and I kind of often was shooting at angled Hermelins or manoeuvring Hermelins, and when I did hit them and hit these citadels, they basically just exploded and died. So it's kind of what happens. But as you saw, high caliber medal, a fair bit of experience for a tier 2 game, especially considering there are only 7 ships. And again, just under 26,000 damage, which isn't a lot normally, but with only 7 ships on the enemy team, and them mostly being tier 1 ships, that is actually a pretty significant damage total. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, short as it was, and I'll see you all next time.